right, good morning and welcome. We have a special vehicle that's in here this morning. It's a special version of a General Motors truck. It's a 6.8 liter supercharged, short box, two-wheel drive, Yenko General Motors pickup truck. It's supposed to make 800 horsepower at the crank and 750 foot-pounds of torque. We're going to test that. We're also going to do tuning. That's what we do here at International Dyno, is tuning. Randy Speaker owns this truck. He has quite a large collection, quite a successful collection of all different types of vehicles. But this morning, we're going to work on this one. So this is going to be starting from baseline, working our way through the tune, and checking to see how much power it has. And then we're going to bring in our tuner, Wally. And Wally's going to work on making the truck drivable, making sure that the air-fuel ratio is correct, and we'll get a final result when we're done as to how much torque and horsepower we can add to the advertised amount.
Every vehicle that we do, we follow the exact same procedure. So the first thing we do is sync the gearing to make sure that the tachometer and the computer are reading the same thing as our dyno is reading for RPM. We usually sync them at 2000 RPM. Then we do a baseline run because we need to know how much power and where the performance is before you actually come and we start tuning. So when you came in, your vehicle made X amount, and then we start tuning. We'll show step by step by step how much more power it makes as we go through the tuning process. So the first one we did today, we end up with 589 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels, which is slightly over advertised torque, but it's really, really close to what they're supposed to make. 750 at the crank, 800 horsepower. So the horsepower is down a little bit. We know that we have to, until the tires warm up a little bit, we have to take it a little bit easy on the throttle. And as we warm the tires up, we'll be able to be more aggressive on the throttle. We're going to do 2 or 3 more baselines, then we're set with our baseline runs. We'll have good consistent numbers here. Then we'll start with the tuning process. Now, the tuning process, what we're attempting to do here is take this tail that's down here and starting down here, bring the tail up and then bring the entire amount up above the next line. So we'd like to be somewhere between 6 and 650 torque to the wheels and not have this delay over here where you step on it and it's inefficient and it doesn't go. So that's the next step, is to run some more baselines and then begin tuning. We've finished the baseline runs, and at this point, what we're doing is analyzing the data. We are right at the advertised torque, and we're a little bit below the advertised horsepower to the crank. Anytime you see numbers on a vehicle, or numbers on the website, or numbers online, it's going to be what the engine makes at the crank. We do horsepower at the wheels here. The accepted number for most vehicles is 15%. Older vehicles, obviously things are going to wear out. They're going to make a little bit less at the wheels than they do when they were advertised from the factory. Most of them are pretty close, so at 15%-ish. So right now we're just like 3 foot-pounds below the 750 that was advertised, and we're just a few horsepower below the 800 that was advertised from Yenko. Nothing to do with Yenko. Here's the reason why today. Weather affects everything. There are a few things that come into play. You have elevation that is part of correction factor, humidity and temperature. If we look today, 650 foot-pounds to the wheels, 655 horsepower to the wheels on this truck right now. But we are fighting some weather here today. It's warm, it's 85 degrees, it's 43% humidity. So the barometric pressure is just a little bit low. All of those things add into what we have here for correction factors. So right now we're correcting about 6% to get the number to where it should be. And that's a number and a formula that is used by the Society of Automotive Engineers worldwide. Whether you're in Colorado, Australia, Michigan, Detroit, which is where the numbers come from, or right here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, the numbers come from there. So this is where we are right now, and we have a live weather station that's going to keep us up to date. We're going to start with the tuning now and bring this machine back up and try and get it well above the advertised numbers. And this is what we do here at International Dyno, is make things run correctly.
Okay, just wrapping up our Yenko day here at International Dyno Authority. We did what we expected to do. On many vehicles we see a very large difference and a very large increase in horsepower and torque. We pretty much expected this vehicle. It came with a tune. It's a very special truck. It's in the range of $110,000 to $120,000. You buy the regular truck, they put a Yenko package on top of that. It actually goes off to Yenko and has this done. When it came in, it was making its advertised horsepower and its advertised torque within a tiny, tiny bit. It's running extremely well. The owner had some, well, it was in kind of race mode all the time. So the owner had some drivability things that he wanted fixed up. There was really nothing wrong except for it was kind of aggressive all the time. So we took a little bit of the aggression on the street out of it, gave it a little bit better street manage. And as we're about to show you, we gave you a lot more. Hey Randy, we gave you a lot more horsepower and way more oomph off the bottom. We ended up 668 foot-pounds of torque and 677 horsepower. Doesn't seem like a great big gain till you start looking at the amount and where it was gained. You're always trying to add horsepower, what's called under the curve, which means under here, in this area where it doesn't make its great big huge number up here. You're trying to make more power here. We successfully did that, and I want to show you just how much more torque or turning force or takeoff you get from this vehicle. But when we come to the torque difference now from where it was to where it is on the street, you're going to feel this. We made 155 more foot-pounds of torque at 2600, and yes, it changes as it goes through. We weren't able to carry that all the way through because the engine's already good, the tune was already pretty good. Matter of fact, Wally said the fueling wasn't that far off. The fueling was pretty decent. He fixed the fueling, he made some changes to it, and now we are maintaining what was peak torque before from 3600 to 4800, and we're way above that. We're up at 668 foot-pounds of torque now. This is going to be a lot of fun to drive. It's going to be more pleasurable to drive than it was before, and frankly, that's what we do here at International Dyno Authority. You're going to get, even though you don't care about it, you're going to get better fuel mileage, and we've made a huge increase in the way this machine runs all the way through. This is the big deal though. Look at here, the difference between these two, 155 foot-pounds of torque right off the get-go. If we look at this, and then we come back here and we look at this, when you step on the gas, you've got instant torque now. So happy to have this truck in, happy to do it for Randy's speaker from Randy's Toy Box. It's a Yenko supercharged truck that runs well, looks awesome, and anything else that you want done, here we are at International Dyno Authority. We do the same thing for pretty much every single make and model. Bring it in, let us have a look at it, and we'll be glad to do that up for you.